Hey everyone, and welcome back to NDC. Every great app starts with a little bit of text, whether it's the title of your app, description of an image, status message, or clearly labeled setting. Displaying static information is fundamental, but it's not just about throwing text on the screen, it's about doing it clearly, beautifully, and efficiently. Today, we're diving into SwiftUI's foundational elements for displaying content, the text view and label view. We're going to master how to present information, even with icons, and uncover all the powerful ways to customize them. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Now I'm starting off with a blank SwiftUI template, and you can see here we actually have some text on the screen with hello world. I'm going to go ahead and delete this image here. The text view is your bread and butter for displaying a single string of read-only text. You just give it the string and SwiftUI handles the rest. If we add our text here, within the argument brackets, we use a quotation mark for any string values, and we provide it with the text. And we can see here it updates on the simulator. So this is a simple description of the main feature. You can even add padding to these elements. If we were to add some padding and even specify it to be horizontal, we can move these elements around. Horizontal padding has caused it to kind of go to the next line. So all we have to do is simply pass a string to the initializer. It's very versatile and supports a wide range of modifiers for styling. Next, let's talk a little bit about the label view. This view is specifically designed to combine a piece of text with an icon, semantically linking them together. Really useful for things like menu items, list rows, or buttons where an icon can clarify the text. So we can declare a label here, and I'm going to choose the one with the title key and the system image. For the title key, this is a string value, and we can declare what we want the text to be. So in this case, I would maybe set mine to be settings, and then for the system image, we can use the SF symbols. You can access the library, and then go to the kind of star tab here to access any of the symbols. So I might want a gear shape in order to display the different settings. And maybe I'll choose the gear shape.fill. You can either drag and drop it in or reference it as a string. So this one was gear shape. And now we can see here that our settings is accompanied by a visual. And by using the SF symbols, SwiftUI automatically pulls that icon in. Powerful combination for creating recognizable and accessible UIs. Another quick example, we can do maybe a profile, right? This is very common. And we'll do the person.fill. I remember that one. So that's the most basic way of implementing them. Now let's unlock the true power of text and label with some essential customization options. So I'm going to delete what we have here and we'll start from scratch. So I'm going to add a text here, and maybe we can have our app title. We can apply some customizations. So if we want to change the font that we're using, we can use the .font property, and within the brackets, we can choose a different style. So in the case of maybe this being a title, I may want to choose title or large title. This will make it a big prominent title. We can also add font weight to add some different stylings. So in this case, we can make it bold to, add that bolded effect. We can even adjust the color by doing the foreground style. And within the arguments, we can choose a color. So maybe for this one, I want to make it cyan so it sticks out a little bit more. Even within the color, you can adjust the opacity, etc. What if we have a long paragraph of text that might need to align or wrap nicely? Let's add another bit of text, and we can add a long paragraph. So in this case, we have a decently long paragraph, and it's kind of a little bit janky on the screen, let's be honest. So we can add some custom modifiers in order to change the font size. That might be the first step. Let's set this to be body, and this sets it to a pretty standard size for reading. And then we're going to change the multi-line text alignment. And we can set this, just like with our editing tools, to be center, leading, or trailing. So I'm going to set this one to be center, which is going to center the text. So it does get to the next line, it's in the very middle. And we can even add some padding as we've done before and set where we want it to be, maybe horizontal. And we can also add some foreground style here. Maybe we'll make this one purple. So you can use the system fonts like large title, body, caption, or you can specify custom sizes and weights. The foreground style is going to change the color of the text, and the multi-line text alignment that we've chosen here is crucial for any longer paragraphs. Beyond the kind of system fonts, you can set custom fonts as well. So here we have our app title. Instead for the font, let's change this to be font, and then within the argument brackets, we're going to do dot custom. We're going to choose the one with the name and size. So the name needs to be a font that's available on your Mac through the font book. You can do the spotlight search if you're not sure, or the font book. Oh geez, what's going on with my spotlight? My spotlight's freaking out. Anyways, as long as your spotlight isn't freaking out and you can access your font book, you can also access it through the apps there. We can choose one of these fonts that we do have installed. So I'm going to choose Impact, one of my favorite fonts. I'm going to reference Impact within the string here. We also need to provide it with a size, which is a number value. Let's go ahead and set that to be 50. Now we can see that our app title has been set to Impact with a large size, and we can manually change this if we want even bigger, 70, 80, etc. And any of those default fonts should be able to run on your simulator. We're not going to be talking about custom fonts that you may have downloaded from like Google Fonts, etc. I do have a video dedicated to that, and I'll put it in the description and in the comment card above. Okay, and in another case where we may have a very long sentence and it might need to be truncated because it won't fit on one line, we can manually set the line limit. So we can apply the .line limit property, and within the arguments we can give it a number of an integer. So if we want to restrict it to one line, we can see here it does start to trail. You can also change the way it does truncate. So you can add the truncation mode property, and then from here we can set it to be either head, middle, or trail. So head truncates at the beginning of the line. So we kind of scale to fit it, so it only shows the ending. We can also do the middle, which will kind of truncate in the middle. Looks a little bit funky, but if that's what you want, or the tail. You can of course adjust this line limit as you need, whatever works best for your app. You can even take this a little bit further. So let's say we have some text and it's a long title that, might not fit in a small space. And we've set this maybe to be a font of title. Well, there's a few things we can do. I really enjoy using the minimum scale factor, and this is a CG float, and we can choose to shrink this. So think of the number as like a percentage. So if we set this to be 0.5, it's going to allow it to shrink to 50%. So let's say we had a line limit of 1. You'll notice now, because it is restricted to one line, it's going to shrink it down to 50%. So even if we were to add a frame with a width and height, so let's say the width is 200, the height is maybe 50, it's going to shrink it all the way down to a minimum of 50%. Anything that comes after that, it will automatically apply the truncation. So you can also choose the truncation style, or choose how you may want to adjust that minimum scale factor. I'm just going to add a little border here for demonstration. So we can see here, if we were to comment off the frame, and then when we comment it back, or I guess uncomment it at that point, we can see that it's doing its best to scale the text down. Again, you can adjust this to whatever may fit your needs. Just understand that if you have things like the line limit or the frame, this may cause some truncation, but we learned how to handle that in the previous step. Okay, cool. I want to talk a little bit about the quick styling for text. So there are some different text styles that you can use. Bold adds that nice bolded effect to all the text. We can use italics in order to shift the text. You can even underline any text. This might be good to indicate any links. You can even add underline to the text or the strike through. This might be good if you have items on a list that you want to kind of remove without deleting them from the list. This can signify to users it's no longer available. Okay, let's talk about labels a little bit more. So the default of labels is something that we've already explored, where we can have a system image and maybe we just have a star. Keep in mind these are case sensitive. And with the labels with their text and when using the SF images through system images, you can adjust things like the font and the foreground style simultaneously. So if we were to set this to be large title, both the SF image and the font do get adjusted. If you have a label and for some reason you want to only display the title, so if this one was title only and we had a system image, just make it the star.fill again. We can apply a property called labelStyle. And within the arguments, we can set it to be title only. So this is only going to display that text. We can do the exact same thing with a image only. Let our system image. And let's do this one as like the sunmax.fill. There's so many like SF images that I've used before that just kind of like live in my head. Kind of fun. Let's make this one a large title as well. So now when we apply the label style, we can make it icon only, and now we only have the sun. If for some reason you want to explicitly show both, so if we want a title and icon, set this one to be the cloud.fill, we can do our label style again. And if we want to force it to always show, we'll select the title and icon. So these are fantastic for adapting labels to different contexts, like toolbars versus list rows. So with toolbars, most of the time it's icon only, and list rows are typically icon and title. The SF images are great and they're very universally recognizable. But what if I wanted to add a custom image? We do need to declare our label a little bit differently. Let's also make sure that we have a custom image in our assets folder. I'm going to go ahead and drag one in. Okay, I'm going to drag in this image I have on my computer of Swift Playgrounds. And I'm going to call this one downloads. Maybe I'm prompting people to download Swift Playgrounds. So when we're declaring our label, we still use the label keyword. However, this time, instead of adding the argument brackets, we're going to add a brace. From here, we add the text. So we want it to say, downloads. We can also adjust how this looks. So maybe this is title 2. It's got a foreground style of green. After the brace of the label here, we're going to go ahead and add an icon. I'm going to add the colon, add another brace, and this is where we're going to add the image view. Let's go ahead and reference our custom downloads. Did I call it downloads or download? Oh, I think I had it right. So it is downloads. Now, here's the thing. It's going to put the image as, the exact size. It's a little bit big. We're going to use our image modifications in order to shrink it down. So after the image, we'll make it resizable. And then we're going to give it a frame in order to adjust the size. Because again, right now, it's a little large. So we're going to start with the width. And let's make it maybe 40. And our height, let's also make it 40. And there we go. We now have a label with a custom icon. This one's pretty scuffed. You might want to use like maybe a PNG with a clear background. Up to you. But this is how you can add those custom images. Just to show that they are together, let's add a little background color here. And we'll adjust the opacity a little bit. So there we go. So essentially we create a label, we then include the text, we then declare an icon followed by the image. So this gives us separate view builders for the text and the icon, allowing us to apply specific modifiers to each, like resizing the image because it was way too big to begin with. All right, a super convenient feature of text is the ability to directly format common data. So let's say we had some text and we're including the date, whatever the point in time is right now. We can then apply a format. And from here, we can choose how we want to display it. We can use dot notation to fill in the gaps, but let's go ahead and format as the date and time. So this is the current time and date that I'm recording the video. If we also want to customize it a little bit further, so let's go ahead and grab that date again. We can format it. This time, let's look at displaying it a little bit more in depth. We can use the date time dot, and here we have, the day of the year, minute, quarter. There's a lot of different things that you can grab. So let's go ahead and do the month. And you can even format the specific way that the month's being displayed, which is pretty cool. So for this one, let's go ahead and set it to be, it is abbreviated. Let's do wide, and this is going to be the full representation of the month. So we can see here, it's only displaying July. Well, I also want to include the day. And again, you can choose to format this as well as the year, also formatable as well. So July 10, 2025. So you can actually customize all of these different things, include the quarter, the time, the second, the millisecond, as specifically as you want, and format them as you see fit. There's also some customization you can do with numbers. So let's say we had some text of 123.45. Well, we definitely want to format that. And let's say this is currency. Maybe I'm purchasing something for $123.45. We can set this to be currency. And then you'll see here that we have the code autofill. From here, we can include a code for different types of currency. So if we wanted to do CAD for Canadian dollars, USD, if we wanted the KRW for the Korean dollar, we can see that it applies that text symbol. So this is perfect for that currency formatting. I'm going to change it back to USD here so you can see the decimal. Next, if we do want to format something as a number, so if I just type a bunch of random numbers here, we can also use our format dot number. Right, so it's going to allow us to have those commas and knows it's a number, so every 3 digits it's going to add those commas, so it's a little bit more readable. Also notice for both of these values, I have not put them as a string. Instead, we're using the format. Oh, all of this saves us from manually creating date formatter or number formatter instances for very simple cases, making our code cleaner, very much easier to read this as well. All right, so those are the main basics, but there's still a couple things we can talk about. Markdown is available natively in SwiftUI. So if we have some text here, and if you're familiar with Markdown, there's some cool things we can do. So if we were to type out our hello world, and maybe we want to emphasize the world, we can add our asterisks. And now it's been italicized. If we want to bold something, we can do the double asterisks. And there's some other cool ones that you can also do, including these little lines. I always forget the name of that symbol, the one with tilde, where it's like the little angled line. Didn't I have to look that up in another video? Anyways, wrapping those, you can have this more coded look. There's even some fun things you can do with the text or like list items. So if we had a list item, we can use our Markdown again. So the first one, so we could do 1/n dash, maybe we have item A, so that /n dash, and then item B. So you can use this Markdown, any of those different Markdown things in your app if you so choose. So you can use these basic Markdown syntax like the asterisk for italics, double asterisk for bold. Oh, backticks. They're called backticks for the monospace. These things with the code. Backticks. There we go. This is a game changer for dynamic content from a server or user input that needs any rich formatting. Now, as we've been talking about labels, you may be thinking, okay, we can add the labels, we could even add the custom images, but why wouldn't I just add an HStack? So for example, if we had this code here where we have an HStack and the label, they look pretty similar. However, the main advantage of using those labels is for accessibility purposes. A label semantically groups the icon and text as one single interactive element. So for any accessibility features like VoiceOver, it automatically combines their accessibility labels. The HStack might read as 2 separate elements, the light bulb image, and then the tips and tricks text here. Label also handles subtle layout adjustments and dynamic type scaling more intelligently across different platforms. So by using the label and by using those text views, they're automatically going to adapt to the user's preferred text size. So if we were to go to our Canvas device settings and adjust these different things, we can see here that the text also available in the HStack and the label are adjusting properly. This is another great reason to use things like adjusting the font size with those built-in system fonts, as they're automatically scalable in SwiftUI. When we're using things like screen readers and voiceovers, it's generally going to just take the text or information within the argument, as well as for the label. And another reason to use those SF images is it'll read the text and also tell the user what the image is as well. So this is another reason to use the label in text. You can overwrite this if you'd like by manually inputting the accessibility label as well. I would use the accessibility tools or the attributes inspector to quickly go through any of the accessibility features or requirements. So to apply some of these in your apps, you may want to think about maybe adding a list row with a label. So if you have like notifications with a bell, so it's a little bit more clear what this is for. You can also use it to maybe have some text inside of a button. So if we want to customize the submit here on our submit button, maybe you have a navigation link that uses a label as the content. So view details with this little bit of an arrow, so it's more descriptive. Or maybe you're going to make a status indicator. Understanding text and label is absolutely critical for building readable, beautiful, and accessible user interfaces. They're everywhere in apps. If you want a challenge, experiment with text and label. Try creating a complex list row using a label, apply different fonts, colors, or even build a small custom card view that contains multiple text views to display user data. If this video helped elevate your SwiftUI skills, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for more practical SwiftUI tips, iOS development, and kind of dev tips. You can also hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. You can also check out the SwiftUI Elements playlist or any of my other videos. Dream big, code bigger, and we'll see you in the next one.